Here in the studio, I am mixing and mastering in an 11.1.6 Dolby Atmos speaker array. The speakers are all by Lipinski. It's my favorite monitor manufacturer. I've adored these speakers from when I had 2 of them, and on the main layer, it's all L707s. The subwoofers, I have 2 of them, being summed into one LFE channel, are the L150s, and then the height channels are the Lipinski L50s, which are a smaller format speaker, but with the same tweeter, exceptional linear response, and an active Class A speaker. So I have been working in Immersive for well over a decade, and even before that in the 5.1 world, specifically on the music side. I knew a lot about Dolby Atmos in the early stages of it from the film world. I was very inspired by it, and essentially for myself, I have always been very passionate about the idea of bringing music and presenting and producing music in Immersive. So when Dolby Atmos became discussed for the very first time that I was aware of, right around 2015, that it might come into the music world, I essentially went all in. It made sense to me. That's many, many years, almost 5 years before Apple takes it on. Now, it took quite some time to get the equipment and et cetera, but I made the commitment to upgrade this room to a 714 Dolby Atmos array at that time. And by 2017, it was all set up and ready to go, and I'd started mixing and producing music in the format. What the speakers are doing for me in here is they are providing the fidelity of the immersive image, the same as having an exceptional mastering grade screen for a colorist in film. The more precise that image is, the better their decisions are going to translate, and I feel the same about my speaker array. Therefore, I've expanded from 714, then I went to 914, then I went to 916, which was adding the center height channels, and now the 11s are 2 rear side surround speakers that are being arrayed in the renderer together with the side surrounds. And the reason for that is that I am quite passionate about preparing music for cinematic releases. I've worked on a lot of albums here in Toronto, as well as one that I'm working on of my own right now, where the goal is actually to use movie theaters and large format immersive spaces to share the music. And so this robust speaker array, that's surrounding me, that's all being tuned with a Trinnov system, is just providing that sonic sphere that I can work within, be inspired by, and make decisions that translate. Of course, this is not just a speaker-based system, so there's headphones, etc. So I'd love to describe to you how all the routing's working. It's changed over the years. I was in it at the very beginning and wrestled through all sorts of things to arrive at where it is today. And realistically, 5 years from now, there'll probably be some things that have changed again. But I'm pretty proud of where it's come to and excited to share it with you. So obviously at the core of Atmos, we've got the renderer. It's been integrated into Pro Tools, but I like using the external renderer for many reasons. It's fully functional, and from a mastering standpoint, from a QC standpoint, from a re-render standpoint, there's a lot of functionality there that I can't give up. So I host the renderer on an RMU, a remote mastering unit, which is a separate computer. My primary computer here in the studio is a fully decked out Mac Studio. Fantastic unit. That is connected to all of the various things that are here in the studio, and the earlier parts of this long format video or other videos that you can search on other part of the studios will explain that. But from specifically an Atmos side, here's how it's working. Pro Tools is my DAW of choice for everything. So when I'm working in Pro Tools, I'm working with an HDX3 system as my playback engine. That means that I have 2 cards summing to 128 channels dedicated only to Atmos. And then the third card is dedicated to 64 channels, which talks to the 4 HDIO units, or the 16 by 16s. What this allows me to do is send 128 channels from Pro Tools specifically to the DADMan, which is the software connected to the Matrix II by Avid. Then I route that down the Thunderbolt card, which carries those 128 streams into the Dolby Atmos Renderer on my other computer, my second computer. It's really simple. Just, 1-to-1 dots down a matrix, comes into that computer, renderer receives it in real time. Then, of course, from the renderer, I've chosen to then send my speaker render back up the path, up the Thunderbolt cable, back into DADMAN, where I can then take that speaker render, whether I'm listening in full 11.16 or 9.16, 7.14, 5.14, stereo, binaural. I'm using combinations of re-renders and also just selecting the speaker outputs to do that. Then that signal gets sent to my Trinnov, which is acting as an insert path via Dante, comes back into DADMAN, spits out to my speakers. There are quite a few matrices involved there. It's not for the faint of heart, but once it's all working, I've got it to a point where even at 96 kilohertz, when for instance, Dante and Maddie cut in half, everything is full 256 capable. Therefore, even when I go to 96, I don't have to redraw any dots or lose the routing, which I'm pretty grateful for because I have dealt with it for years at times when that was not possible, and there's a lot going on. So that's how the sound is getting from Pro Tools into the ecosystem, over to the renderer and back. Really, really smooth. HDX2 system essentially going down the Thunderbolt card into the renderer, back out Trinnov speakers. The other HDX card that's a part of the HDX3 system is allowing me in Pro Tools to talk in real time to those HDIOs, which are then connected to all of my analog equipment, which means that I can access my Pultecs or my Fern VT5 or this Terry EQ or the Buzz or the Shadow Hills or any of those pieces of equipment as insert paths in Pro Tools, latency is being compensated for in real time, and now even in immersive. Even at full 96K with massive object counts, I can be using my hardware just like I would in stereo. I love that. My philosophy of this studio is a hybrid digital analog workspace, and I have worked hard to be able to access my equipment as I would like to use it in the stereo domain in the immersive domain, especially for music that's being produced from scratch in immersive, where it hasn't already been processed and I'm working on it as a remix engineer, as a spatial remix engineer, where I'm building things from the ground up. I've done this with a lot of artists. I'm continuing to do it. I'm passionate to do it, and even working on my own music in the format. So I want to have access to all the tools, and that's how it's happening. So that combination of things requires HDX3, a Matrix II, and all of these various routing tools, and that's how I'm getting things to and from the speakers. Now, from a headphone standpoint, the same renderer is, of course, also sending a binaural stream, and that binaural stream is going into DADMAN, and then I'm feeding that into different headphone amps for different headphones. I sort of toggle between three main pairs these days: the LCD-5s by Odyssey, which are being fed by an SPL Phonitor E amp, which is essentially the Phonitor 2, but without all the crosstalk information. Another pair of Odysseys, which are the LCD-XCs, which are closed back and tell me a couple of different things that I like to check on. And then a different amp by Mjolnir Audio that's feeding the Carbons, which are the electrostatic headphones, which are my favorite headphones of all time. And all of this is organized where I've got the DADMOM controller that's talking to the Avid Matrix II, and I can toggle these things in and out, hear the speaker playback, hear the binaural on this headphone, on this headphone, on this headphone, and I can move really quickly through them. Because when I'm, doing this work and I'm working on translation, I don't want the technology to slow me down. I want to follow my creative intent. I want to go for it, and I just need the tech to keep up. And I feel like finally, over the last couple of years, I've been able to hone this into a way that works for me. It truly is a personalized spaceship. I recognize that, where it's like, I know what that button does. I know what this does. I know what this does. And all of these various behavioral patterns are things that I'm doing to just hear the music the way I want to. And so it's epic. There's a lot going on in the system, but to be able to do that and then also at this flip of a switch, be working in stereo or be in my mastering, stereo mastering work without having to change playback engines, change DAWs, etc., has also just allowed me to keep my energy focused on the music and not on, things breaking or trying to have even more things talk to each other. And I'm grateful to get a chance to share it with you. So thanks.